Welcome, everyone, to the Dock of Shame podcast. My name is Matt. I'll be one of your hosts for the day. Joined with me are three other members of Team Chaos Productions. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hello, I am Chris, and I am a human real-life Owen.
Hi, my name is Matt Walsh, but to avoid confusion, you guys can refer to me as Walsh. And I am a real-life human.
Real life human. Good.
And I am Gabe. I'm the resident furry of the group.
Excellent.
Cool.
Representation.
So this is a podcast that is a kind of a retrospective on the 2008 Canadian television series Total Drama Island, and it's something that has kind of like interested all of us at one point or another, and it was something that we just kind of wanted to talk about and dissect as a whole to kind of see if this series still holds up more than 10 years later. So I just want to start off by like asking y'all what your familiarity with the series is. So Chris, how well do you know this series?
I mean, I watched it from when it first premiered on Cartoon Network. What was it now? Like 10 years ago?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think summer 2008. Let me check on that. Keep going.
Yeah. But I started watching the first one. I think I watched that all the way through. I think that the Canadian version was out like a few months prior at least. And so I kind of was like looking up spoilers because that's just my thing that I do. And I after Island though, I think it kind of fell off for me. I started watching some of Action, but was not really into it. But Island I've watched now multiple times.
Awesome. It premiered in Canada in 2007.
Okay,
But I believe on Cartoon Network in the United States, which we are all from, in 2008.
Oh, so like a year. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember it was summer.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Walsh, what about you?
I watched Island when it first premiered. I remember that season pretty well. I remember watching Action and World Tour, but not... I don't remember much of what happens during those seasons, so it'll be exciting to rewatch that. I remember when Revenge of the Island was advertised, and I hopped back on that just to see like a whole new cast, but after that I very much fell off.
All right, and Gabe.
I also watched. I watched all the way through World Tour when they all first premiered. But after that, I fell off really hard. Like I completely forgot about it for several years until you guys reminded me of it, and so like just today I rewatched the first episodes of Island, and I'm really enjoying it again.
Good. Yeah, this has been like one of my like things that I've consistently kept up with. I've seen every season multiple times, I think, except for All Stars. But especially the first three, I've seen like at least 3 or 4 times each. I really love this show, and I hope that if you are listening to this and are not super familiar with it, that you do give it a chance. I want to apologize for my voice today because I am just getting over a cold. But this is a podcast that we've been wanting to start for a while.
Yes,
so without further ado, this episode will be going over not so great outdoors or not so happy campers. Yeah. Okay. So coming back into this, sorry, there's a weird recording blip. But I think we are on track now. So we start off with a shot of Chris. By the way, this podcast is going to be really confusing because 2 of us are named Matt, and one person is named Chris, and the host of the show is also named Chris.
Specify McLean.
Yes, Chris McLean. Kind of introduces the show, gives us an idea of what the show is going to be like. We get to see Camp Wawanakwa and the titular dock of shame, and he explains how it's going to work. So 22 teenagers have signed up to spend the summer at a summer camp, and each one will get eliminated every week until there's only one left.
What I love about the opening, it reminds me of, like, you know, I not a lot of the reality shows, at least that I watch, don't do this anymore because they're like in their 20th, 21st season, and if you don't know what it is by now, like, what are you doing? But it is kind of like a cool, take. Obviously you have to introduce concepts to the audience, but I do find it fun that, like, they kind of like that they are playing off of that and, like, showing, like, oh, this is where all the cameras are in the forest. This is how we're going to be watching 22 campers battle it out. Like, it just it very much reminds me. I mean, the whole thing is based off of the reality TV show, but they are starting right out of the gate with the trope of the premiere episode.
Yeah, it's a big parody, especially of Survivor.
Yes.
Now, had you guys watched Survivor as a kid before actually watching Total Drama?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I actually, you know what? Maybe not, because I got into Total Drama, and then I think after that I got into. I know my first Survivor season was Samoa, and I don't know when that fell.
That was definitely after Total Drama.
That was definitely after Total Drama. Okay, yeah. So then that would be that might have been, maybe Total Drama actually was the thing that got me into Survivor. Which is hard for me to connect, but yeah, that might actually be the case.
Okay. Yeah. So after this introduction, kind of explaining us the rules of the competition, the theme song plays. And what a great theme song it is. This is honestly one of my favorite animated theme songs. If you haven't heard it, I Want to Be Famous is just it's a jam.
also just to clarify, Samoa came out in 2009, so exactly what you guys were saying, kind of that was after Total Drama Island first premiered.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely, I love the theme song. It's a good one. And what do you guys think of, like, the intro sequence? Do you think that, like, embodies the characters well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's difficult to, get all of the because at the end of the day, Total Drama has a very large cast, no matter what season you're looking at.
Mm.
And so, you get, like, sequences where, multiple characters are, like, doing the same-ish things.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, it works well to be a concise theme, and I think it's successful at that.
Yeah, like, I think that, like, like Noah and Ezekiel, like, that they don't, like, those kind of characters are, like, just tied up in front of a chef, but they don't really show up any quirks. But then you see, like, on the boat with, like, Heather and Lashana, like slapping each other, like, that's an embodiment of their characters a lot more than I would say, like, Noah and Ezekiel. But again, Noah and Ezekiel are not really well developed characters compared to the other two. So
right. Yeah. So the theme song sequence happens. And then we go back to the Dock of Shame, which we named this podcast after, of course. And we can start meeting all of the contestants. I'm gonna split this up into kind of in halves, and then we can kind of talk about each half individually.
Okay.
Just kind of their introduction. So the first one to show up is Beth. And then we also had DJ, Gwen, Jeff, Lindsay, Heather, Duncan, Tyler, Harold, Trent, and Bridget. So with these introductions, we kind of get an idea of how all these characters, similar to the intro, how all these characters kind of interact with each other and their general personalities. So what were some introductions that you guys liked?
I think that for me, like, I look at, I feel like there's the guy, that's how I felt throughout almost the entire thing, more of like a general observation. I feel like right out of the gate, I think you get a better idea of the personalities of the female characters than you do with the male characters, because and not, I think all of them are trying to play up some sort of trope, but I feel like with the guys, it's a lot more like, hey dude, what's up? And that's really it for a good chunk of them. Where like the girls, I think you kind of get like a better idea of like who they are. It's just something I kind of feel like that's played out throughout the entire thing.
I mean, that's even commented on by Gwen, who's like, if they say man one more time, because they're like, hey man, how's it going, man? Yeah, what's up, man?
Oh my god.
I love that part.
Yeah, it's like, it's very much like they almost are well aware of the fact that like they're all like dude bros. Like all of it is very like it's very and they do get more well developed later on, but it's very much at the beginning. It's like what they're all pretty much the same.
Especially in this group when you don't know them very well. Like DJ, Jeff, Tyler, Duncan, and Trent are all like kind of the dude bro-ish type character.
Yes, absolutely.
I think my favorite introduction was Lindsay, because she walks up to Chris, who's the host, and goes, "You look so familiar." Oh, that's where I know you from, when he says he's the host of the show.
Yes. Ah, yes. They I mean, and really out of the gate, you're like, it's a blonde, and she's dumb. Like, they go right into that, they play right into that trope, like, real quick.
Yep, right away.
Also, but like, when Lindsay shows up, like, the music slows down, and it's like, yeah, she's the pretty one. And then later they're like, all right, you're all 16, right? And I'm like, wait, please don't slow down music.
Well, that's the thing, like,
which of course
16.
you don't think about it when you're watching it and you're like 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
They're like way older than me. But even watching it like again, like I'm like rewatching the show and I'm like, wow, they gotta be like what, like college age, like, or even older. And then they're like, nope, we're all 16.
I especially look like a character like Jeff, and I'd be like, there is no way a 16-year-old is that freaking ripped. Like,
No, the only one who maybe looks 16 is like Beth, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she would be like your like reality show trope, like to be like the signature young one, like who's like 18 or 19 taking on the world in this reality show. Like that's who I picture Beth as for the most part.
One thing that I did want to point out was the fact that when he introduces Trent, he goes, "And now for our 9th contestant." Trent is the 10th one. 9 people are introduced before him. And they didn't count right.
Yeah, something that I think that is made clear throughout a lot of this, which, I mean, I'm sure if you really break down any cartoon, it might be like this, but there's a good amount of polish, but there's some things that they left out, and it's pretty noteworthy.
There are a couple more in episode 2 that I'm definitely going to bring up, but this is the first instance of Total Drama doesn't know how to count.
Yeah. Yeah, basically they do not know numbers, and sometimes they don't even know like I think they forget like names and like looks as well at times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so like the basic things you guys didn't get right.
Yeah, no, it's that's very strange because they didn't have to number it. That's the only one that says a number.
Yeah. It's odd.
Is it Total Drama can't count or just Chris McClain can't count? Find out.
Let's find out.
It's
In the next half of were there anything else that you want to say about the original group?
No, I think that like Duncan is probably like he's like very aggressive right out of the gate and made to be a heel, and kind of like Heather is too, and like that basically they're basically setting up the situation throughout the rest of the show that those are like the 2 heels of the show.
And then there's Harold, who when he finds out it's a summer camp, he goes, "Yes, that is so much more favorable to my skills."
Oh, which by the way, that last part reminds me, throughout a lot of these intros, I am reminded of the Total Drama Island online game, which I don't know if anyone I don't know if anyone played it, but it was when you ever, I forget what the feature was, because a lot of it's a blur. You were able to create your own character and stuff. It was really cool. But then with like when you approach certain characters from the Total Drama Island, they kept on having one line that was repeated. That was Harold's like one line, and like a lot of these intros ended up they pulled a line from here, like Beth is like it's so incredulous to meet you. Like that was like played over and over again, so it's like drilled into my brain.
Nice. Okay, the second half of the cast, we have Noah, Lashana, Katie, and Sadie who arrive together. Ezekiel, Cody, Eva, Owen, Courtney, Justin, and Izzy. Anything about this group?
There's only one that matters to me.
Do tell.
Lashana is, she's just my girl. Like, she's just there for me.
One thing that is, I think Lashana is one of the better developed characters of the series, and Justin is the least well developed in the sense, even to the sense that you hear him talk a few times when he first comes onto the Dock of Shame, and then you really, if at all, hear him talk again throughout the rest of the show.
He does not talk until the end of season special.
Like, I think that's the joke, though, right?
Yeah, like he's the hot guy that doesn't say anything.
When I was watching this episode, I actually got caught off guard that he spoke because I didn't remember him ever speaking. So I thought that was just like his thing, like he just doesn't talk. Too, like, but I was like, oh no, what the fuck? He has a voice.
Yeah.
He also he talks in action.
Okay.
Yeah. Owen basically like compliments his beat up jeans, and then Justin's just like, I'm not gonna talk till season 2. So
Okay.
that's essentially where we're at.
I want to talk because I'm going to constantly bring up how Owen is bisexual legend.
Yes.
Yes.
Because not only is Owen like complimenting like, man, Chris, you look good, like the beat up jeans and everything, and then like Justin comes over and the person who has like the biggest like eyes for Justin is Owen.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow. And then no, he compliments Justin's jeans, not Chris's. I'm sorry, I got that.
Justin's beat up jeans.
And then when Owen fucks that up, he's like, oh, stupid.
he is the LGBT icon that we need in this show, because it's far and few between.
But Owen just also brings like an energy that like really keeps the show like moving. That's great.
Yeah.
I feel like people find him obnoxious, but I also feel like no one else like seems to give as much of a shit to be on the island compared to Owen. Owen is just so into it. He loves being there, and it's like, all right, that's attractive. Like that like you enjoy seeing that.
Well, every character is written to be like a very specific stereotype, and Owen is like the quote unquote party dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So after all the characters are introduced, and when Izzy jumps on the boat or on the dock, she just eats it on the dock, like hits her chin, and then says that was awesome, except for the hitting my chin part.
She specifically said that felt good.
This is the beginning of Izzy's genius mind games.
Getting in the heads of everyone.
And I
to advance her own game.
I'm fully of the theory that Izzy is not only crazy but a super genius and plays up her stupidity, and we will see how that plays out throughout the season.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And because she wipes out very differently than Tyler wipes out, who his whole deal is that like he's just like
The clumsy jock.
I'm the clumsy jock. Yeah, and while Izzy, I think, is just like, she's on another fucking level. She's playing 4D chess. You just wait.
Yeah.
It's almost calculated.
I I do apologize because I did have a note from earlier. Just in terms of the introductions, one thing that's very clear out of the gate too is that Duncan is flirting hard with Heather, and at one point, like, he says something like, "I'll meet you at the camp, princess," or whatever, and Heather's just like, "Drop dead, you." She says "goof" in the American version, but
the original is skis.
Yeah, it's skis. Yeah.
That was
so,
interesting because I rewatched it on Netflix, and the subtitles were set to, I guess, the original, the original script, and I got the audio of the the American version. So the subtitle said skis, but they said, like, what is it, like, you goof?
Yeah, it was you goof.
That kind of thing happened a few times.
There's there's a lot of censorship, especially in Island, between the original and the, like, edited down more PC version. I thought the Netflix one honestly was the original, but I guess it is the quote unquote censored one, which is a shame because I love the original dialogue. If we'll remember, anytime one of these happens, we'll be sure to point it out.
I remember one other one that happens in this episode, but we can get to it when we get to it.
Yeah. So they take a group. They all take a group photo. It's the promotional photo that if you've seen anything for the show, it's that photo. But Chris is having trouble with the camera because he doesn't have, like, a camera person or anything. He's just taking it himself.
Well, I really appreciate that they included this in here, because that is also a huge trope with I would say it's more of like an underrated trope with reality shows, because, like, Big Brother, like, one of the things, if you watch Big Brother at all, they have the group photos that they send out, like, after like, or right before the show goes live, on the Wednesday premiere or whatever, and then but the thing is that in recent years they have had, like, early eliminations where, like, one of the cast members is not there, so they have to edit in the cast member, and then it's so obvious that they're photoshopped in, and they're like, oh, that person probably got eliminated day one, and sure enough they did. But the whole promotion thing, like, I think that's really funny that they included that.
Yeah. And then as they're trying to take the picture, Doc collapses. They're all in the water.
So
Yes.
This is the beginning of Chris McLean's Satanism, where I am also of the belief that this is the beginning of McLean's slow, like, just journey into madness of torturing teenagers. Because this is every single thing is 100% on purpose. The lid, the card, and the fucking dock breaking. Because, now hear me out, that was way too perfectly timed. And the next time that we see the dock, it is completely rebuilt. As if it was planned.
Ah.
Not
I see
surprising.
So I'm everything bad that happens to these campers, almost everything, I am 100% of the belief that Chris, as seen in the introduction, sitting in a directing chair, is directing all of the suffering of these children. But that's just
We're gonna have to play with this theory as the podcast goes on.
I have many theories.
I mean, he has
not the I mean, these kind of ideas have gone around the internet for a while, and there are people who have broken them down before. But I'm just one believer of many that this is one of the cases with one of the characters.
He has more power over the island than is let on early on, for sure.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So after they dry off, they meet at the later on the campfire ceremony where they are put into teams, and explained the, like, living situation. It's made very clear that the cabins are separated, guys and girls.
I think it was when this was kind of first brought up, the whole camping thing is like, it's like touched upon much more than I think even Survivor does. It's weird. Like, I feel like nowadays Survivor is a lot more like focused on like the social game and all that kind of stuff. But like, if you go back to like the early days of Survivor, it was so much more based on like the survival aspect of it, and this kind of they kind of zero in on that big time with this show.
Yeah.
This is a part 2 of Owen's bisexual legacy, of commenting on how the how there's like the co-ed housing, and he's like, man, it's a good thing all us like guys get to sleep together, and he's like, wait, I didn't mean that. I mean, like, I hate sleeping with girls. I mean, wait, hold on.
He's too afraid to express it. It's very sad.
Yeah. But here is where they're all divided into teams.
Yes.
We have teams of 2, the standard reality show format. We have Team 1, which is the Screaming Gophers, which consists of Gwen, Trent, Heather, Cody, Lindsay, Beth, Katie, Owen, Lashana, Justin, and Noah. And then the Killer Bass, which is Jeff, Bridget, DJ, Tyler, Sadie, Izzy, Courtney, Ezekiel, Duncan, Eva, and Harold.
It was at this point that I wrote, I can't stand Katie and Sadie. I mean, I understand that there is a trope that you follow with each character, but God, like, even like, I would have at least liked at least a little bit more, like, I don't know, there's just something about them that just is so obnoxious that they're just so like they're just they're one, and they're just annoying, and they're loud and obnoxious. Like, you could have had them be twins and not be as or be like twinsies rather, as friends, but like be like this annoying. They are very out of the gate, very annoying.
But we have to be together.
Yeah.
We have to be on the same team.
Now, this, of course, they get punished for their annoyingness later on.
Yes.
But at the same time, I wish, in retrospect, knowing, like, how the season goes, I wish we would get some sort of, like, development, at least between one of them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that just doesn't happen. And I know, like, I'm getting ahead, and even though there is a switch in the team later on, I really wish they would have, even though we probably would have heard a lot more complaining on their end, that they were on separate teams, and we maybe could have even seen like a back plot of like these two best friends becoming like enemies.
Like, they set themselves up to not really develop the characters even more. Like, that I feel like that's the kind of the crime of it. I feel like you really could have done more with those characters and could have had some sort of growth, and really there was not a lot of growth throughout most of it.
That's fine. Next up, we get introduced to the reality show staple of the confessional cam. And Gabe, where does this confessional cam happen?
It happens in an outhouse.
It sure does.
Why do you have to go to Gabe for that?
I don't know.
Gabe hasn't said anything in a while, so I wanted him to.
I mean, I look at that reminds me much more of Big Brother, is the looking into the camera confessional, because like the Survivor one's kind of like you're off to the side, and like you're clearly talking to some sort of producer, and they're trying to have the illusion usually on Big Brother they're just talking to the camera, nothing else is happening, but meanwhile the producers are like pumping lines to them, and obviously this is not the case, because there's no such thing as behind the scenes people on Total Drama Island, but I would love these kind of confessionals a lot more on reality TV show, where they're a lot more honest, and Owen plays up the fart angle.
Yeah. So they all kind of get introduced or introduce themselves to their new cabins, their new living spaces. We get to see a little bit more of their personalities kind of shown off. Cody, for example, is in the girls' side, and then Lashana throws him out, and then that's when Owen does his like, "Man, aren't you glad that we aren't sleeping with any girls?" thing.
Yeah.
What a treasure.
And then Lindsay asks if there are any outlets anywhere, and Chris says, "Oh, there's some in the communal bathrooms." And Lindsay goes, "Communal bathrooms? But I'm not Catholic."
They really just it gets painful. It just gets painful.
I liked that one.
I liked it too.
Like, I will admit, I chuckled, but like it was like a disappointment chuckle.
I'm with you, Gabe.
Lindsay, you're better than that. And another way to kind of show off characteristics of more important characters. Lindsay's freaking out over a bug, and Duncan runs in the room and chops it in half with an axe.
Where do you get the axe? We'll never know.
He was in juvie.
That's all. You get a complimentary axe when you get left out of juvie.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. That's how Canadian juvie works.
He just got it in his bag.
Yeah. and I got some nice soaps as well.
Canadian juvie. So you get an axe, you get soaps, and then you get maple syrup.
Really, Matt? Did you really have to like try to pull that Canadian reference out of somewhere? Like just.
Yep. Yep.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, and then
I'm just disappointed.
That wasn't very good.
You have to say you're sorry before you
Apologize.
You apologize before you leave the jail.
Sorry. After all that, we get to the dining hall, and we get introduced to really the only other like production type character in the show, and that is Chef.
And I mean, it takes till episode 2, but he is more than just a chef.
Oh yes,
truly.
Okay. Who is Chef? I'd like to break down this psychological. Who do you guys think Chef is really?
What do you mean?
Yeah, you gotta explain here, man.
He's obviously a daycare consultant.
Exactly.
Oh goddamn!
Now, we need to break this down because I think that Chef is much more than he's leading on.
Okay.
It's like a TMZ hit piece.
Do go on.
Oh, that's it.
It's just an
I was
ad
hoping you guys
for a future
I was
thing.
hoping you guys would kind of guess and the rest.
I mean I feel like that was a tease for like a future segment.
Like, now you're obligated to do this, Matt or Walsh.
Yeah,
Honestly.
It's fine.
yeah. You gotta really do like a breakdown of his psyche, like through episode 2 even. You got like you have to just see like the deep dark secrets he holds and how much money he's being paid, because clearly it's now enough.
It's not enough.
Every episode of this podcast, I will check in on Chef, and we'll see
All right.
how he's doing and what developments we have.
I like that. But you kind of add on not only to the reality show stereotypes, but now you add on to the summer camp stereotypes of the food being awful.
Yes.
There's a clip where I think Chef calls Noah string bean or skinny boy or something like that, and wants to give him more meat. So he takes the meat, put the sloppy Joe or whatever, puts it on his bun, and then it like climbs back up onto the spoon. So Chef has to like slam it down even harder.
That was animated very strangely.
It was.
It's not
It took me a couple
like
watches.
It's not like it just like, climbs back up. They used the same animation reversed.
Yeah.
So it looks like time rewinds, and then it drops again, and I'm like, what?
It's very weird, and like the point is just to not have it be discerning. But I would have loved if the chef at least try to explain what the hell it was.
Yeah, that would have been
funny. Just to see,
But if
awful.
if anyone asks, they would probably like get hit by the hammer or something.
I mean,
Oh,
he
yes.
did explain what it was, though. Like,
Oh, did he?
it's food.
Oh. That's good enough.
Good enough. Legally, it's food.
Yeah.
Oh, Gwen mentions that hers moved. She's like, "Oh, I think mine just moved," and Chef just hits it with a hammer.
Oh, even when they're all like eating later, you see one of them like
Just
crawling along
on the
ground.
floor?
Yep.
Reminds me of like some like Ned's Declassified shit.
I do want to say I really appreciate Gwen out of the gate a lot more than I think I did when I first watched it. Because she is probably as self-aware of how stereotypical everything is. And like, because I think right before she says, "I think mine just moved," I think she's just like, yeah, not to be like that guy complain on the first day, but you know, I appreciate that Gwen is very much, it feels very much more grounded. Like right in early on, like she's supposed to be like the goth girl that's always like pissed off all the time, but like you already kind of get a sense that she's like a lot more like normal than the rest of them.
Yeah. I think
goth
she's
girls
also
are
like
cool.
like maybe supposed to be like the audience's like window into the competition, into this world.
Absolutely.
Like being kind of the more like the most normal out of the group.
Yes.
I think so. I think you could see a lot of. I think she's a little bit of like the everyman in this, but she also like doesn't take shit from other people, so she does get a personality of her own, which is nice.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just like a self audience insert.
Yeah. After that, after the cafeteria food, as they're eating, Chris comes in and explains the first challenge. I don't know if you heard that. My dog just yawned across the room very loudly.
He's bored of us already.
But Chris comes in, introduces the challenge, and then takes him there. And they're on top of a very, very tall cliff. And that's where part 1 ends.
I didn't realize how much they try to play it up like, I think he's gonna die. I'm gonna die. Like shit like that.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
so yeah, the thing about the cliff scene is that I believe in the Canadian version they say like that, like you hear DJ say like, "Oh, like bleep." I think.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was the other one that I
Yep.
saw in the subtitles.
Yeah. It didn't
And
show
they
up
just
in the
took
American
that out.
version. The next time on TDI, did they do that again for any other episode?
I don't remember, honestly. Because I don't think they did it for the next one. Maybe it was just because this was a 2-part thing.
I think so.
Because that reminded me a lot of Survivor, where they do it like a next time on Survivor, and then they kind of give like the preview for the next week. They don't really do that, I think, outside of this first part. They're kind of something I wish they did a little bit more, because that could have been. I think that's a fun element.
Right.
I would agree, but at the same time, I feel like every episode from here on out ending with Chris McClane just being like, next time on Total Drama Island, it becomes like such like a staple, and like something like to just really just bookend like every episode.
Sure, yeah.
And
That's
I think
fair.
it works well for these 2 episodes, even though they're almost always aired together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair.
All right, and then that's where this first episode ends, where Not So Happy Campers ends. Again, I don't know why it's like labeled as 2 different things depending on where you watch it or where it's listed. But that's most of the we got everything down. I think we mentioned most of the censorship stuff.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think that covered most of it.
Yeah. Any thoughts about this episode as a whole?
I feel like it was a good
Immediately,
introduction.
I think so. You immediately see
Yeah.
Chris like, like to Ezekiel like, hey, try not to like get out too early. And then, of course, foreshadowing what happens. As well as, like, it's kind of weird, like, seeing characters like, in like Eva or like Noah, who are very minor, who like you basically lose after like a few episodes, you know.
Yeah, how they're trying to develop them a little bit in the time that they have.
Yeah, like I know Noah comes back later on, but even like it's very interesting seeing them and how they interact on the show.
Mm.
Yeah, and I kind of look at the way that they had what we know about the feat later on in the show. Like, I do kind of wish that the characters they didn't develop kind of were the ones that were kind of eliminated early, because I feel like, yeah, and right, like Eva, gets brought up later, but like I feel like it's a shame that goes out early, whereas you have other characters like our residents Katie duo that stay around for a little bit longer, and it's like, do we really need this constantly? Like, I don't know. Yeah. So like I understand though, like it's kind of like playing on the fact that like, hey, even the more interesting characters can also get eliminated early in a reality show. So
the voice acting early on in this show, especially noticeable in this episode, just seems very bland. Like the actors don't quite fit into their roles yet. I remember Chris just being so much more expressive, and in this one it's just like, on total drama island.
Very
lot blander.
Very a lot more like, all right, I see it, like whatever. Like I think it's just because like it's like the pilot episode, and like for some reason, I just feel like those characters end up being like just so like not expressive in any way, shape, or form. Like very like I felt like that for, I mean, a lot of like the blander characters, like Trent, like he has like the one line in the beginning and then kind of also fades out, and it just, a lot of these characters are just not as fleshed out. Obviously, go till the rest of the show, but I see what you mean though. It's very like characters are not as expressive as I would say later on.
Especially the guy characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
I agree with you.
I have a question for you guys.
Lindsay and Heather, like, I thought really are in the stride that we expect them to be in through the series.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
What is the prize money? How much is it?
Is it like $1 million?
And it's 100,000.
It is 100,000, but I remembered watching it like with the memory that it was $1 million.
So, what happens is, this is a bit of a spoiler, but at the end, the winner is given the option to give up their prize money to go for $1 million, but everyone would get the chance to compete for $1 million.
Oh shit. Okay.
And then every season after that is $1 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Because like that is like that kind of reminds me of like other seasons of like real life reality shows where like the early seasons are like, it's just 100,000, 250,000, and then like as the show progresses, it's like, oh no, now you're playing for $1 million. It's like, oh, all right, cool. This
is normal.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Gabe?
No, not really.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think I was just gonna say, like, I think that generally the first episode's pretty good. I don't know. Like, do you think that they needed to split it up into two parts, or couldn't they just had like a long 1 hour episode?
I think it was just split into two parts based on TV restrictions.
Okay.
I think it works well as a two-parter too, because then it sets up the idea that like it is kind of a show within a show. Because no matter what, you're going to be watching these episodes back to back. And even though they
Right.
are technically two different episodes, it sets up the idea that, like, tune in every week to see how these fictional characters are doing on this fictional island. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair. Did
It's
they?
also sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, did they air it back to back like that? I forget.
yes,
I want to say
remember.
I want to say they both of these episodes came out one after another, like on
Yes,
the same
they-
night.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when it aired on Cartoon Network, and it did. It came out together.
Okay, cool.
Which like it's also like for a cartoon like this to be so serialized around this time was not a common thing. Like
Sure.
to have the story continue throughout the episodes and have something like permanently change with someone being eliminated every episode. That wasn't a thing that cartoons did a lot. It was like, okay, the 22 minutes are up, status quo back to normal.
Right. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of like Dexter's Laboratory. I think. Where
Yeah.
like there would be some like really screwed up thing that happens at the end. They almost leave hanging, and then like the next episode everything's back to normal. It's just like, all right, okay. I mean I would have liked to see what the solution was, but fine. But no, yeah, this is serialized very much so. I appreciate it for that.
I also want to talk on the stylistic choice of the show and the character designs, because I think
Yes.
that, of course, working with. I mean, at least I'm guessing that it's Flash based on the way that it's animated, and the way that they're puppeteering the characters. It's a much more simpler but kind of easier kind of animation style that you see from a lot of kind of Canadian networks. You've seen it in shows that aired here, especially like other shows that even are from this network, like 16 or that one surfing one that nobody remembers. And but just the character designs themselves, like you can look at a character and most of them you can like immediately see what they're about. The best characters designs like immediately grab your attention. Like I'd say good ones are like Owen or Gwen, or even like I would argue like Trent or Duncan are good character designs, with very like simplistic like designs on their shirts, or even like the way that certain features are shortened or like heightened, like Duncan's like foot long legs, or just like things like that. I think they do a really good job at immediately catching your eye. Like these are, it's appealing to look at, and I think that they do a good job at designing the show.
I 100% agree, and I think that it's cool if you look at the design too. It's like, which I think a lot of cartoons do, having like that faded background and having like the more significant things have like the black outline, essentially around the characters or like significant places. I very much appreciate the design. I think it kind of like I can't picture Teledrama Island any other way, and I would be able to point out like a Teledrama Island design if someone just showed me like a random photo of it, like the similar style. Like I would be able to point it out, which is a testament to the animators.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a very distinguishable style, which is a great part about the show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any last notes about the episode?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so at the end of every episode, we are going to give the episode a rating.
Okay.
Scale of 1 to 10, just like kind of how you felt on the episode. By the end of the season, we'll kind of analyze it, see what like our averages were, see kind of like our individual and show average, and just kind of see like which episodes we liked better than others.
Okay.
So, with that note, do you all have a number in mind on what you would like to rate?
I have a number in mind.
Okay.
It's weird because this is, of course, the first episode that we watched, and there isn't much to compare it to. So I think the best thing, for me at least, would be to kind of use the first episode as a kind of control.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna put it around. Even like looking back, I might think like, oh, maybe I rated this one wrong. Like that's the weird thing. I don't know to compare it to other episodes, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this episode around. I'm gonna put this episode around a 7.
7? Okay.
How about? I'm arguing between 6 and 7, so I'll put it at 6.5.
6.5.
As
Okay.
as a nice control, and I think I might be putting it a little low, but I think that just leaves room to grow. I think that it's doing a lot of introducing.
Yes, definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's setting up a lot, but I think we still have to see a lot of the payoff. So that's where I'll put mine.
Cool. I'm also gonna go with 6, kind of for the same reasons. Like, I thought that it's a really good introduction, but not a lot happens, and the voice acting especially just isn't quite where it has to be yet, or where I remember it being, I should say. All right, Chris, what about you?
I think I would do 5. It's basically along the same idea. To me, I want to kind of view this as if I'm a newcomer, a new person that has not seen the show before, and if I watch the show now, not knowing, the rest of the show, I think that I would say it was like, all right, it's average, it's all right. I feel like it definitely gets better as the season goes on, but not knowing that right now, I'd say like, all right, like it hasn't completely hooked me yet. So
Gotcha.
that's why I would put it pretty much at the middle.
Okay, and Gabe.
For me, I go just a little bit higher than Walsh and Matt, just because of the tease at the end of the episode. It just leaves a lot of room for intrigue and like, oh, what's gonna happen next, because of all the, oh yeah, he's definitely gonna die, and just like all that stuff. I just think that's just because that is the only instance that happens in this entire show. I think that's pretty cool. So I'd say like a 7.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and these numbers don't have to be like an exact science or anything. It's not like you're gonna get like a letter from. I was trying to think of a science agency, but I couldn't.
I went to college for this, Matt. Of course it's science.
So there's no like, don't feel like that these have to be like totally accurate ratings all the time.
Of course.
But on that note, I think we are through everything we need to, except one surprise ending segment. We're not going to cover this series in depth at all, but the current season of Total Drama that we are subjected to is currently Total Dramarama, which is not good, but we discovered before the podcast, or before recording this, and while Chris wasn't on call, so he has no idea what's happening.
Yeah, no.
Walsh is going to share with us an episode description from Total Dramarama at the end of every episode.
Yes. Now, Total Dramarama is a gift that we need to truly appreciate. I would like to take us all now to Season 1, Episode 18, titled Bananas and Cheese, written by Sean Clapp. The description. Famous musicians, Bananas and Cheese, are coming to visit the daycare, but Duncan does everything he can to stop them, since their music is terrible. Things only get worse for Duncan when he realizes that Bananas and Cheese are really his parents.
Why? Just why?
Oh no.
I'm stunned.
I am speechless.
Now, here's the thing, though. Have you seen this episode?
I have not.
Okay.
I think that makes it better.
There is now a part of me that wants to see that episode just because of pure curiosity.
Don't do it to yourself.
Oh,
Don't do it.
some of these episode descriptions are so good, but I really hope you guys listening wait along each week just to hear some of them with us. So that means
Oh my gosh.
and that means all of you guys too. I don't want you guys looking these up, so I can share them with you every week.
Oh, not
Okay.
at all. I'm
Okay.
not looking at it.
All right. I'll hold off.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. that's going to do it for us today. I have been Matt. Join with me, Chris, Walsh, and Gabe. Join us next time on the Doc of Shame podcast, where we will review, talk about Not So Happy Campers Part 2. See you guys next time. The Doc of Shame podcast is brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Doc of Shame, and find more of our work at Teen Chaos Pods.